And we're going to kick off with the news that's obviously dominating all of today's press. Leo.
Liz Truss is quit after 44 days at number 10. So there's now going to be a shortened leadership race. So previously they had this 8-week leadership race that sort of scuppered the Tory party because they're like a headless chicken. There's all these crises going on with Ukraine and the cost of living crisis, the energy crisis. Nobody was in charge. Boris, departed, and then they were all fighting it out and pulling each other down for 8 weeks. So the next leadership race is just going to be a week, and Boris Johnson has made a comeback. I don't know if they're going to make it like when JR was shot and then they pretended it was a dream. I don't know. They can maybe do that with Boris.
Well,
coming back.
it's got all the qualities of a soap opera. A lot of this, to be honest. So they could do a twist like that.
Yeah.
But there we see on the front cover of the Guardian that image of Liz Truss, and the bitter end. I mean, Josh, it really is. Do you know what? I feel sorry for her.
You know what? I was just warming to her.
You barely had time.
Such terrible timing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she called up the king. She said, "Oh, I call the king," and I wonder, if he's like, "Yeah, I kind of guessing why you're calling." I was just calling for a chat.
Yeah, but
I think he probably called.
We all knew. I mean, we all knew this was inevitable. I didn't expect it to happen so quickly.
No.
I thought it might be at least a few weeks.
Yeah.
Because didn't she say the other day, "I'm not a quitter, I'm a fighter"?
The other day being yesterday.
Okay. I see.
But now supposedly Boris Johnson says here and Rishi Sunak are going to battle for the soul of the party. I didn't know the Tory party had a soul.
Well, that's because you're left-wing and you'll believe everything you hear on Channel 4 News.
It's interesting, though, isn't it? I mean, Leo, you mentioned this 1 week. I mean, of course it has to be much shorter than last time.
Yeah.
Because it was interminable.
Yeah.
And there's no way that the electorate would tolerate those endless debates. And this time they're saying it's going to be within a week, right? So by October the 28th, they're going to put the ballot way up. So what they have to get, the benchmark, I think, is 100.
Basically, they're making sure that the members don't pick the leader next time. So they're going to make sure that MPs... So you've got to get 100 nominations. They reckon it's going to be about 100 nominations.
Could be 3 people then.
So, two or three, or possibly even one. They were talking about possibly just one person, Rishi Sunak, being on the ballot, which isn't really much. But that's the sort of election you get in Zimbabwe or Russia.
He might even lose, even then.
The state of the Tory party.
Who knows?
He could. But, I mean, it does raise questions about democracy in this country because, Boris Johnson was elected in 2019 with, a huge majority, 80-seat majority, by the electorate. And he was deposed by this sort of shadowy cabal of Tory bigwigs.
He'd done some stuff.
He'd done some stuff, but what politician doesn't? And then Liz Truss was elected in this transparent and open election process, and then 40 days in, she gets deposed by the same shadowy cabal.
Hold that thought, Leo, because we are going to move on to Friday's front cover of the Express, and of course this is Boris Johnson who said he'll be back, and it looks like a real possibility now. So they've run with. Can we see the image of that front cover? Anyway, it'll come to us in a moment, but it's about Boris Johnson.
Yeah, he couldn't, could he? Will Boris bounce back to number 10? So, supposedly right now, there he is there. That's not a live photo of him because
he's on holiday.
So here we go. We want this guy back. Or we, I mean, some people have said, some people don't cut that clip. But, Parliament sits for 22 weeks a year.
Yes.
It's sitting at the moment, and he's on holiday. Is this the person we actually want to come back? He's a shirker.
He's been busy.
Yeah, he's been busy on holiday.
Yeah.
So the point is this someone who people want back running our country? There was a reason why he was ousted.
Yeah, but apparently,
breaking the law, lying.
Yeah, but reports just now are
repeatedly.
saying that Guido Fawkes has reported that he already has more MPs supporting him than other potentials, including Rishi Sunak and Penny Mordaunt.
Guido Fawkes, who, by the way, had a fantastic tweet saying how Liz Truss was going to solve everything and thrash Labour.
Well, if she'd have been allowed, if she'd been allowed to get on with it instead of being brought down by this cabal of sort of Remainer,
but brought down by her actions.
No, brought down, but she didn't get a chance. She didn't. She made a few missteps.
I've got to pick up on this. So, could it not be the case that it was her lack of strength? However, I mean, she implemented all these policies.
Yeah.
She was the one that you turned on. She was the one that sacked Kwasi Kwarteng. Could she not have just said, "No, I'm sticking by my guns, and that's it"? Could she not be a bit more dictatorial about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think times like this need a bit of dictatorship. but yeah, I mean, I think Boris coming back is looking likely because he's electable. He's the only person in the Tory party who could win an election right now, and that's what they desperately want. With Labour are 30-odd points clear in the polls.
I'm going to ask Josh, can he... I mean, look, he's got a mandate. Boris does have a mandate, so there is that, insofar as he was the one who won that general election. So, isn't he... I know the Tories are in a mess, and as Nicola Sturgeon has said, the idea that he could come back, that would just show how the Tories are in, what a state the Tories are in. But is Leo right that actually, out of all the options, he is the best shot, even though it's not a very good shot.
Well, he's the best shot for the Tories to stay in power. The real thing they should do, as Leo said earlier, we live in a democracy. We voted for a certain mandate. That's not. We didn't vote for Liz Truss. The country did not vote for Liz Truss to tank the economy.
The Tory members voted, but they didn't vote for to tank the economy. That's like saying, people voted Churchill for Hitler to invade
except
France
she
or whatever.
caused. Yeah, but Hitler didn't cause World War II.
No, well, I mean, she made some missteps, but the core,
she cost this country billions of pounds.
Billions isn't much for a country, but the essence of what she was trying to do was valid. Creating this sort of low tax, high growth.
But the free market didn't like it.
No, the bond market didn't like it.
Isn't it, Josh, just that she sort of failed to communicate her message? This idea, I mean, she kept going on about economic growth, but it wasn't communicated in such a way that people saw. Well, certainly the markets got very.
Well, that's part of the reason she didn't explain how that was going to be paid for.
Yeah,
and absolutely, the markets, the free market, Tories, free market, the two tend to go hand in hand. Responded accordingly.
Yeah, she should have said, "This is how we're going to balance the books."
Well, the point is, whatever she did, it's really harmed our country. She has now gone accordingly. And we're going to bring back this other person who also arguably has harmed our country?
Leo, can I ask about that? Because it just seems inconceivable. It's almost like the idea of Trump coming back in 2024.
That's not inconceivable. That is also going to happen.
But we can't just keep rerunning the past, can we? I mean, doesn't there come a point where you've left the stage, don't go back for the encore because they stopped applauding?
But it's not rerunning the distant past. It's rerunning about 4 weeks ago. So
but in politics at the moment, that is the distant past.
I actually couldn't remember him. They were like, Boris. I was like, Boris who?
Are there any other possibilities? I mean, they talk about Ben Wallace as a unity candidate. They talk about Suella Braverman if they want a more right-leaning candidate. Maybe just go for something a bit more left field?
I doubt anybody would. Rishi is probably the key person. And Penny Mordaunt, I think, is third behind Rishi and Boris.
We always liked Kemi Badenoch.
Yeah, but
it took me a long time to learn her Scottish surname.
So. But with requiring 100 nominations, I mean, that scuppers, most people.